Hey everyone, welcome back to Core AI with Chandru, where I turn ideas into AI apps using the latest tech stack. And this time it's a new application which I built using Firebase Studio and Jenkins, powered by the Gemini LLM. It's called DocuChat, an AI-powered chatbot. So this application allows users to upload text or JSON documents and ask questions about the content using an intelligent chatbot powered by Google's Gemini AI. Okay, without wasting any further time, let's dive into the breakdown of the most important files in the directories and how the code functions here. First, it's the user interface, the front end. The heart of the user experience is built with the Next.js, React, and UI components. And if I show you the capabilities in source, it has in page.txt. Please go to this. Let's open this code for you. So this is the main entry point of the application UI. It's where everything comes together. It uses hooks like useState and useEffect for the state management, and as well as for the component composition and event handling as well. So it contains the logic for handling uploads, drag and drop, sending messages, and interacting with the history sidebar as well. And the next important one is the layout.tsx. So this again is the root layout for the entire application. It sets up the basic HTML structure, including the HTML tags and the body tags, and imports the global fonts and the style sheets as well. Then you have the components, and specifically on the UI. So in this directory contains all of the reusable EA components, such as the button, the cards, the avatar, the chart, the scroll area. These are all the building blocks that give the app its kind of the polished look and feel. The custom sidebar component is also located here. Moving on, so I'll go to the styling and theming for this one. So the app's visual identity is kind of controlled by the Tailwind CSS and the custom theme settings. And if you look at the global CSS, so let me just go through the global CSS for you now. I'll open it up. It's in source, it's in apps, it's in global CSS. In this one, this is where the app's theme is defined. It uses CSS variables of the color palettes, the primary background, the accent colors, and applies the base styles as well. This is the first place to look for any app-wide styling. Then you have the Tailwind config.ts. So this talks about configuration for the Tailwind CS. This is defines the custom font families and as well as extends the theme with the CSS variables defined in the global CSS. And the next, it's the artificial engine. That's a magic. That's a core AI functionality, and that is being powered by the Gen AI. So if you look into Gen AI, so let me just flow into this, right? So Gen AI flows, and then you have the Gen Kit over here. So this is where you call the Gemini and ask questions. Particularly, if you look at the flows, this is the main and the core where the AI magic happens. So this kind of defines the flow, how the GenKit server-side function that orchestrates the call to the AI model. It kind of uses the XOR schemas and as well as the prompts, the most critical part of it, right? It contains the instructions given to the Gemini model, telling it how to behave and how to use a provided document context to answer questions accurately. And this file, you have the Jenkit.ts as well. This file kind of initiates and configures Jenkit, specifying Gemini Model 2.0 Flash to be used by the AI task. Next, we'll move on to the browser and utility logic as well. These files kind of handle the browser-specific features and shared utilities. So if you look at source and hooks, so you can see that there are a number of one is a use toast and one is a use mobile. So use toast is a custom React hook for displaying notifications for events like errors or successful actions, whereas a use mobile is a simple hook to detect if the user is on a mobile device, allowing for responsive UI adjustments. You also have the utils.us. So yes, this is kind of the utility file from shadecn that includes the function which cleverly merges Tailwind CSS classes, masking it easier to build dynamic and conditional styles as well. So I think I've explained enough of the components of the app. So let's dive into a demo of how DocuChat works and how it actually breaks down a JSON or text format into information where we can ask questions about it, and then the LLM which powers it kind of gives you detailed information. DocuChat application open. So the way I've designed this is once the document gets uploaded, the kind of the upload screen collapses, and you have the bigger chat window, so that it gives you enough space for the user to ask questions and also see information. You can also see there's an history tab over here. It gives you a list of documents which I've uploaded, and if you want to clear the history, I've given a clear history tab as well. And every time you want to create a new chat, you can have a new chat as well over here. And I've given a maximize button in the chat window, so that if the results or the response is too big in this particular screen, you can even maximize it and make it more bigger, so that you can see more and more information on it, and as well as minimize it, right? So let's go with the list of questions. So what I've done, I've taken the BMW report right now, I passed it, I've created a JSON, and now we'll start asking questions about the report itself. Now we'll have two personas. So one is a normal user and one is kind of a financial user, right? So but let's start it off with a normal user. I have a list of questions which I've kind of drafted for the normal user, so that I can start typing that, and then we can look into how the Q&A responds back into it. So the first question is that what is the total sales of BMW 3 Series? So let's see if the report has any of this data. So the moment I enter in this question, it gets processed by the LLM and it reads on to the particular report which you've done, and it comes back with the response saying the total sales of BMW 3 Series, 4 Series from Jan to 30th June 2025 is 245,002 units. That's the precise number as per the report. So let's say we'll go to the next question. What is the company's free flow cash for the quarter? And again, I get a response back from the LLM saying that the free cash flow for the automotive segment for the period from Jan 1st to June 30th, 2025 is around 2,345 million euros. Now let's make it a little complicated, right? So let's say like we want to compare the sales of BMW 3 Series with X5, and we want to compare it on the number of years as well between 2024 to 2025. So let's give this question to the LLM and let's see what comes out. And here it goes. So what it does is it goes into the report, and it kind of sees the information about what are the sales figures for 3 Series and the X5, and it comes back with data which says that BMW 3 Series sales decreased from 272,218 in 2024 to 245,252 in 2025, while BMW X5 sales decreased from 136,842 in 2024 to 121,366 in 2025. Sales of 3 Series with X5s. Let's do one more thing, right? So we'll just compare the sales of all BMW models between 2024 to 2025. So let's see how they responds back into this. So I'll type this question, compare the sales of all BMW models between 2024 to 2025, and it comes with the detailed list. So here is a comparison of BMW model sales between Jan to June 2024 and Jan to June 2025. It does a comparison of model by model, and it says you what are the units in 2025 sold versus the units sold in 2024, and what is the number of percentage as well, right? You can clearly alter all of these things. Now it also tells you like by each and every model what has been sold and what has not been sold, and what is the percentage of increase and change or decrease in each of the sales value itself. Now let's see if we can do some more breakdown of this, right? So let's say like, can you provide the breakdown of sales of each BMW model? So let's see if the model is able to break it down for a model. So it's thinking yes, and just come back saying like what it does is that it says these were the number of deliveries made in 2024, these were the number of deliveries made in 2025, and then it is comparing it, and it is also giving the change in percentage for that, right? So you can also copy this data if you want to go into an Excel sheet, or if you want to use Google Sheets, you can copy this data and still make some computations over there. So I've given a button or a capability where if you click on it, it gets copied onto your clipboard, and with that you can just paste in your Word document or in your Excel sheet or in your Google Sheets and make some more computations out of it. So that's kind of the power of this DocuChat, because it's giving you data directly from the reports which you're not able to extract, but it gives you the correct data so that you can make some more computations based on that. Now let's go one by one. We'll check on all the questions which I've noted down, right? So let's say like which is the top selling model of BMW in 2025 compared to 2024. We'll do that. So we'll ask the question to the model, and it thinks and comes back saying that 5 Series and 6 Series saw the largest increase in sales, with almost 150,000 units delivered in the first half of 2025 compared to almost 114,000 units in 2024. Now let's make it one more, right? So let's say, can you let me know the Rolls-Royce deliveries in 2025 compared to 2024? So let's see if this works. So the model thinks and says, okay, in for the first 6 months of 2025, it is 2,796 as per the report compared to 2,800 units in 2024. Now we will also see if there is any other news about BMW. We want to see what is the outlook, any updates on the fleet business. It's kind of the commercial area for BMW, right? And if there's anything possible, what is the outlook for that? So BMW is under the brand name Alphabet, the financial services segment which offers fleet management related credit financing and leasing contracts. So out of the total credit finance and lease vehicles, this line of business accounted for a fleet of 700,000 almost at 30th June 2025. So this is almost plus 2.1% rather than what was reported on 31st of December 2024. Now, it has also been, Alphabet has also been responsible for remarketing of the group's own fleet as well. And it gives you more number of data about what are the volumes and the management numbers and everything, right? So, I mean, the LLM is doing pretty good on this. So, what it's trying to do is just breaking down and possibly getting as much as information from the documents and trying to answer the user intent and what the user is asking for. We'll go with the general outlook as well. Let's say, like, what is the outlook for BMW for 2025? So let's say how the model answers this. It thinks, keeps on thinking, yeah, and it comes back saying like the BMW group is anticipating increased demand in 2025 due to further stabilization of inflation and additional moderate cuts in key interest rates in many countries. It also expects the automotive markets of the USA and China to grow. However, revenue per vehicle adjusted for the whole year will decrease slightly compared to the year as a result of low price level in China. And it says in China, growth is expected to be lower price segments in particular. In Europe, especially the EV market is expected to grow despite measures to ease CO2 limits as a result of various national subsidy programs. However, the BMW Group believes that the overall market here will contract. So it gives you a picture of what the BMW thinks as part of its group, as far as forecast for 2025, and it gives you some detailed information which would be very useful for financial analysts and as well as for people to take decisions of how the BMW Group is performing and what is expected in the next 6 months and also in 2026. Now, I think that's mostly the questions I have from more of an end user, right? So what I will do next is that I'll switch on to a persona like a financial analyst, and then I'll ask some more questions to the model and see how it breaks it down. That's going to be more targeted financial related questions, typically from a financial analyst who's going to look out for some data on the finance and the outlook of BMW and how it's going to fare well in the next 6 months to 1 year or 2 years. Okay, so far, we have seen how we can chat as an end user with LLM model and try to get as much as information as possible, right? So let's change the personas for now. So let's assume that you're going to be a financial analyst and your main job and aim is to look at the report from BMW and kind of do a financial analysis on its position on the revenue, turnover, the EBITDA, and as well as the future outlook and performance, so that if BMW is a client for you, you can also look at a strategic exercise from a financial consulting perspective and look at what are the key points you have to look at and what are the key drivers for BMW's profitability and revenue in the near future. So so let's start with the question, right? So what I've done is I've kind of prepared a number of questions from kind of a financial analyst perspective, and I'll try to do that. So the first question is about how did automotive segment revenue and the EBIT margin compare to internal guidance and market expectations, and what are the main drivers for any deviations? This is a typical finance related question from a financial analyst. Let's see how the model responds back to it. Now you see that the model has responded back saying like the automotive's EBIT margin for the 6 month period finished in the upper half of 5% to 7%, forecast for the year reaching 6.2%. Key factors influencing marginal development were the situation in China and consumer confidence, and the second quarter, the automotive segment had an EBITDA margin of 5.4%. So the model is trying to answer as much as questions as possible. First, it answered about the automotive revenue, the EBITDA margin, and then it was talking about what were the drivers for the deviations. Now let's ask one more question about the future of BMW, because they are all working on new EV platform called the New Class. So let's ask a question about the New Class platform. So what it says is that the expenditure in 2025 financial year is connected with preparations for the launch of New Class models, including the ongoing development of 6th generation for a battery technology. It also includes expenditure related to the development of New Class models such as iX3 and the successor of X5 and X7. And the outlook also includes measures designed to mitigate the impact of higher tariffs. So BMW has a plan. So as part of the document, they have published information that they're going to work through the new Class platform model and see what are the developments and we can do in the near future for that. Now let's ask a kind of a tricky question, which is more to the key geopolitical and economic risks, and which might disrupt the supply chain. So let's ask anything about that. So the BMW Group anticipates the good demand will grow in 2025 due to further stabilization of inflation and additional moderate cuts. However, US trade policy and possible countermeasures by other countries could have a negative impact on the global economic performance. The trade wars are leading to increased uncertainty among US consumers, which could have an adverse effect on the performance of the automotive market. In China, the growth is expected to be the lower price segments in particular. The increased controls on issuing the licenses required to export rare earths from China could lead to supply shortages for individual components. So if you look at the answer, right, so it is trying to see how much ever possible and reasons for supply chain disruptions, inflation, the market conditions in China, and how it's going to be a key geopolitical risk for us, a risk for BMW, and as well as an economic risk, and how it's going to kind of impact their revenue and models as well. Now, if you particularly looking at some sales figures, and if you look at how are EV sales performing in all of the markets in China, Europe, and the US, so it comes back with an answer saying like the growth is expected in the lower price segments, in particular in China. In Europe, the EV market is expected to grow despite measures to ease CO2 limits as a result of various national subsidy programs. I think but BMW thinks that the overall EV market will shrink due to all the other political factors which has been contributed to it. Now, let's look at the other thing, right? If you're doing a consulting exercise, you'd also be looking at what are the raw material costs and whether that would have additional burden for BMW to do as part of their manufacturing and profitability as well. Now, it says that BMW expects there to be a positive effects in the second year compared to the previous year and has improved further in the first half of 2025. Looks like the report is saying that they are able to manage the cost of the raw materials, and that should be fine for now. Now, we'll do a couple of questions more, right? So we'll ask, why did the group's profit before tax and EBT margin decrease so significantly in Q2 2025 and the first half of 2025? So this is a tricky question. So this LLM needs to go and identify that. The group profits before tax fell significantly in the second quarter of 2025 to 2,614 million. It's kind of a minus 32.3%. I think it was mainly due to the higher custom expenses. And I think that's a main attribute which has been as well. And it is trying to answer two questions, right? The first half of 2025, the profit before tax lower than ended year at 5,727 million, which is compared to the last year 8,023 million, which is a minus 28.6%. So the question was a bit tricky. So what it was saying is, it was asking it to compare the Q2 decrease, and as well as compute the first half of 2025. The LLM is able to respond back to that. I mean, it gave the key answers about it. Finally, right, so we'll just go with what is the financial performance of an all-electric vehicle segments. We'll try to see if there is anything around that. And it says there is a 15.7 increase in the all-electric automobile sales, and the share of BEVs in the total deliveries rose to 18.3%. Yeah, so I think that kind of concludes all the questions I have from a financial analyst perspective. I mean, if you have any further questions, you can post in the comments and I can ask LLM to respond back to you. But what it says is that the model trained is able to answer specific questions about the finance, and also able to give outlook of at least the near future as per the report. So if you are doing a consulting strategic exercise with any particular client and want to talk about reports, quarterly statements, and what is it they can do to move forward, and enhance your profitability and as well as increase the revenue. I think this is one tool which will help you out on this. So it is kind of going to shrink the number of weeks or the number of days you're going to get this out to the client into a number of days or into a number of hours. Or you can just keep on chatting with this LLM model and DocuChat and keep on getting as much as information as possible for you to prepare a PowerPoint and then or a slide, which is a powerful slide, which will then go to the client and talk to them about the various information they have published as part of the report, and as well as try to help them out like what can be done next. Because if we have a solution for that, I think this is the right way to do this. So let's move on. So what I will do next is I'll kind of give you kind of an overview of DocuChat and the main features and the capabilities as well, and then we'll wrap it up from there. I think you've seen it now. I think at its heart, DocuChat is built on a cutting-edge modern tech stack designed for performance and intelligence as well. And you see this beautiful responsive interface that's built with the Next.js and the React, which gives us some super fast and interactive user experience as well. And all the sleek components, which is from the buttons to the window, and as well as anything you want to upload, the screens and everything, has been coming from the Tailwind CSS, allowing us to create polished and professional look. But the real brain of DocuChat is artificial intelligence and the agentic AI behind this. This is where GenKit, a powerful open source framework from Google, comes into play. So GenKit kind of allows you to easily build AI-powered features directly into your application, along with Firebase Studio. Now, when you upload a document and ask a question, GenKit kind of orchestrates the entire process. It takes your question along with the most relevant parts of your document and sends it to Google's powerful Gemini model as well. Now, think of this Gemini model as an export reader. It kind of analyzes the text and your question, understands the context, and formulates a precise human-like answer. So you would have seen the scenario of the finance analyst perspective, right? So whenever we ask any questions in detail, it responds back with a detailed answer, trying to answer each and every part of the question. So this entire interaction is defined and what we call as a flow. It's a server-side function that ensures that the AI is everything it needs to give the best possible response. So in short, it's kind of a fast and the modern front-end built with the Next.js and React communication, which communicates with the intelligent backend powered by GenKit and the Gemini model. So I think that's it from my side. So but what I can do is I can kind of upload this as a demo or as a link into one of the URLs so that you can start testing this on your own. You can upload as much documents as possible from your side. Nothing is stored. You can clear the history as well, and then you can keep chatting with the documents. So I'll come back with a new project. I think I'm working on something new. What I will do next is that I'll do something on MCP, and I'll add the project, and we'll go through the demo and we look at an interesting use case as well. So until then, it's me, Chandru, signing off. So we'll look at the next video then. Thank you.